Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, why don't you go down, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any episodes. Today I'm going to be talking about Jim Jones and recruiting in Ukiah. Remember last time they moved from Indianapolis to Ukiah, California. Although many Temple members moved from Indiana, the church continued to recruit in Ukiah. A typical recruit can be found in Gary Lambrev, a young white idealistic social worker. Lambrev was on his way to the courthouse when a woman in a passing car accidentally dropped a pack of leaflets on the streets. The woman introduced herself as Patty Cartmel as Lambrev picked up the leaflets and returned them to her, after which she invited him to a social. Lambrev found out later that this was not an accident. He was being screened. At this social, he was encouraged to talk about his beliefs and thought how amazing it was that he'd found a group of people who held such similar beliefs to himself. After a while, someone proposed they move to a larger party. At this larger party, a teen dance chaperoned by adults, he met Jim Jones. He recalled that Jones agreed with his beliefs. This is a common cult tactic. Agree in order to reel them in, then start changing the recruit's personality. Jim then invited Lambrev to Sunday services, giving him directions to the schoolhouse where they met. Lambrev went and was so impressed he returned every Sunday thereafter. At this time, I should admit that there were about 87 people in People's Temple. Jones especially impressed him, speaking of equality for all and denouncing racism and war. Lambrev recalls that Jones was totally dedicated to social change. At this time, it was common for the idealistic young Americans to leave big cities and settle in more rural areas. They felt these areas had less corruption, and this was called getting back to the land. Mendocino County attracted plenty of these. Jones and his church identified such people and reached out to the most idealistic. Once recruited, these new members helped to attract more like-minded people. Chance meetings were always welcomed as recruitment opportunities. Jim also recruited among his students. He had a regular teaching job, but on top of that, he taught night classes in the adult education program. Many enrolled were teens who were struggling with family problems or drug addiction. I just want to insert a note here. Please do not treat drug addicts like outcasts of societies. They have a disease and it can be treated, but we need to give them understanding. As an example, let's look at Christine Lucientes. Her life went from bad to worse when her father sold marijuana to an undercover agent. After that, almost all of Ukiah shunned the family, but Christine found refuge in Jim Jones and the People's Temple. Guys, please don't do this. It's one thing if you don't want to hang out with Mr. Lucientes, But it is quite another thing to shun his family. The family has nothing to do with it, okay? Teen members were expected to have exemplary conduct at school because their behavior now reflected on People's Temple. Yet, they were discouraged from interacting with anyone but People's Temple members outside of school. Guys, this is a common cult tactic, so nobody knows that your personality is changing. Instead, they had church-sponsored fun with temple friends like socials. No alcohol or drugs allowed. They were also given responsibilities like helping older members. This is another cult trick. Keep the members busy so they don't miss their old life. Jones placed Mike Cartmel in charge of a youth battalion. Although the church was staunchly anti-war, they had no problem with self-defense. 20 youth were taught how to read compasses and were issued crossbows. In addition, they were taught to lead people to safety in case of a bomb attack. Church membership was at 150 by the spring of 1966. Jones decided to stage a march in Ukiah, protesting America's involvement in Vietnam. He was aware that this would alienate some residents, and some asked if it was worth it. Jones replied, "They have to know who we are." However, the day of the protest, Jones was deliberately out of town in Guadalajara with Joe Phillips, which troubled some. It wasn't that they questioned his decision to be out of town, they just wondered how they were going to pull it off without their protector. Jones said that while driving south, he had a vision that someone would hurt Lambrev. As Lambrev stood on the steps, a man came toward him, and he thought this was the man that Jones said would hurt him. At that moment, Jim strode toward the courthouse, chasing the man away. Jim said that his vision was so vivid that he had Phillips go back to Ukiah. People, if you believe this, I have a bridge in Brooklyn I would like to sell you. The Justice of Mendocino County, Robert Winslow, was impressed with these proceedings by this preacher and his followers who were willing to risk public anger to demonstrate their beliefs. After this, the judge appointed Jones foreman of the county grand jury. Jones started stressing his visions, keeping them intentionally vague. He announced in August 1966 that the church was entering a dangerous time, but if they believed in Jim Jones, the congregation would not have any fatalities. He specifically warned the church to drive safely. Warning people to drive safely is a bit like saying the oceans are going to have hurricanes. It's gonna happen. The wrecks, the car wrecks, it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time. One night after services, temple members were driving back to Ukiah on dangerous steep embankments. Note, dangerous steep embankments. That's why this is not surprising. Jones was flagged down and told that a member's car had gone off an embankment. Jones slid down with a flashlight but didn't find the car. Someone called the fire department, and when they arrived, firemen were lowered by cables into the ravine. They found the car partially crushed, pinning 3 people in the car, too hurt to move. The 4th managed to crawl free. Just in case you're wondering, I don't believe in prophecy or supernatural healing. After the rescue mission, Jones followed the ambulances to the hospital. Although he had suffered a few tumbles and was bruised, he insisted on staying with the crash victims. He came out and told his followers that one child had no hope, but that the parents would survive when this quote-unquote prophecy was fulfilled. Most members attributed it to Jones's healing. No, that would be medical science, people. Well, friends, that's it for today. If you like this kind of content, hit the like button, press the subscribe button, and if you want to know when I come out with new content, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. All social media links are in the description. You can find merchandise on my Teespring store and on my website. Please leave comments in the comment section. Not only do I love hearing from you, but it also triggers the YouTube algorithm. Keep learning and searching for truth. Here are a few videos from my library. If you have not watched them yet, go ahead and watch them and tell me what you think. Until next time, friends, stay safe and goodbye. Wash your hands and wear a mask.